between two. Hey, at least the transcription. Yeah, the one guy peeled it up and started, so he got this ball. And I said, oh, you know, I get rid of that. And he goes, no, that's not sold here.
Sound clock. Is the recording on?
Yes, it is really not.
Okay.
Just stick it up in here.
You good? Okay, everybody, I'd like to call the November 8th regular council meeting to order, please. Everybody call roll.
Mr. Everett?
Here.
Mr. Fish?
Here.
Irish President absent, Mr. Cathy,
Present.
Mr. Richmond,
Here.
Mr. Vincent.
Here. Okay, now we can stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The next order of business here is reading and disposal of the journal. I had a couple of really small things, Julie, they're just minor. Top of page 2. I think just to say he feels that they should start with roads and safety. And then in the middle of page 2, I'm not sure exactly the words, but Mr. Fish asked about the comment that stated that the village has an ordinance about, and I think it's just he asked about the comment that the village has an ordinance about no walking. I think that's what, is that accurate, Mr. Fish?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and that's all I had. If anybody else had anything else, please let us know.
I just have one small nit on page 6, second paragraph. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next line down, the adult or received complaints, past tense receives.
Anybody else? Do I have a motion to approve as amended? Or motion? Okay, and a second. Okay, we have a motion by Councilperson Fish, seconded by Councilperson Emerson. Please call the roll.
Mr. Everett?
Yes.
Mr. Fish?
Yes.
Mr. Cathy?
Yes.
Mr. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Vincent?
Yes.
All right, next order of business is reports, is action upon any matter which resident may wish to present to council. Are there any residents online? I don't see any in the room. Yes, that is, that's for the insurance.
Insurance, okay.
Yes. Okay, it doesn't look like there are, so I'm gonna pass that one. Reports and communications, so I'm gonna give my report first, but I'd just like to say, we got a lot to cover tonight, so brevity is our friend, and I'm gonna try to set an example with my report this evening. What was that? Second?
Is that another?
I didn't make a motion, I just, but I'm glad you seconded that, thank you. So I'm gonna start, I just got a couple real quick things, just, you guys, I think we talked a lot at committee of the whole about what's going on, so I don't wanna repeat any of that. Just a reminder that the D&I event that is tomorrow evening, diversity inclusion event at the Orange Library, if you're so inclined to come. I'm gonna try to go, and I know Todd is as well, but obviously that's completely voluntary. On Veterans Day, just a reminder, which is this Saturday, we will have a very brief service at 11 a.m. at Veterans Park, and then the Orange Wall that I think you all know about from John Sangdahl's presentation is on Sunday. And then the last thing I want to mention is the diversity and inclusion group has 3 people who are rolling off. If you remember that we staggered the terms, and some people were only, I guess, 1 year. So the first one is Lori Uragdi Eiler, the same name, like she's the chair. She is asked to be reappointed. She's asked me, and I am so inclined to reappoint her. If council thinks differently, please speak up. But I think she would be great. She sent me a very thorough email about wanting to be reappointed, and that she's really enjoyed the time. Amy Sansetta has asked not to be reappointed, so we will have an opening. And then the third person is Todd Steele. I don't know the answer. I've not heard from Todd. So as far as I know, of the three commissions, that's the only one that we're gonna have to appoint some people in short order. So be thinking if you have somebody that you'd like to propose, just call me or send me a note or whatever. I have also asked Lori to talk to the commission, of course, and they may have nominations as well. So yeah, that's.
One thought on that,
Yeah.
if people who apply for vacant council seats, many of them expressed interest in serving on commissions.
Yeah, I think Sherris was looking into that. We have actually recruited them for other things and maybe, so we gotta double check that. That's a great point. Okay, any other questions? Okay, good. Well, thank you. I'm gonna move on to the police report. Todd is not here this evening. He's at a police chief's meeting. So he has a legitimate excuse for not being here. So we have no police report this evening. But so I will move along to our service report, Mr. Delore.
The only thing I will say, the salt trucks went off the time on November 1st. Went off with no issues. And the essence of time, that's my report.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciated the job done on Jackson. He's done well and early, so it was great. Next is our engineers report. Mr. Pilarski, do you have a report?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mayor. Just one change from our facilities meeting the other day, this is dealing with the Green Tree wastewater plant. Our equalization tank project there has been delayed because of some issues with a supposed electrical line that was in the way. Well, today we found out that there is no electrical line in the way, so we can now proceed with the project, and SET construction is scheduled to start there on Monday. Finally.
Excellent. Excellent. Glad to hear it was resolved.
Yes.
Anything else, Jeff?
No, that's all I have.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I will move on to our finance report by Mr. Rajat. Rajat?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Here we go. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Not much to report. Again, just quick report on income tax. It's still down. As we mentioned last month. It's a little bit lower than last month as well. Right now, it's about 10% below last year's collections. Well, there's always a silver lining. Interest rates are high, so our investments are doing much better with Star Ohio. So as a comparison point, last year at this time, interest income was about 80 to 90,000. This year we are about 550,000. So it's pretty good. Yeah, and so we've also changed our investment strategy. We've looked at federal home loan banks and trying to lock into some of these higher interest rates for longer term, so that when the interest rates go down, which I feel they might in the next year or so, we can at least continue collecting the higher rates for another year or so. And I think that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Prashant. Any questions on finance? Mr. Shaw?
I guess I have one. What does 10% represent? 10% lower income tax, you said. What roughly is that? How much money does that roughly represent?
Approximately about 400,000.
Okay. Good to compare to the interest.
Yeah,
Good
it is.
right. Thanks.
Okay, well, thank you. Next, we have a building department. Paul, do you have a report this evening?
I do not have a report this evening.
Okay, any questions for Paul? No? Okay, thank you, Paul. And then I guess last but not least, Mr. Hannah, do you have a law report or a legal report today?
Mayor, I believe that brevity is the key word tonight, and I do not have.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that, and so therefore I will move on. We have no appointments and confirmations this evening. Communications, petitions, and claims, we have none. So I will move on to reports of committees. We did have a BZA planning meeting on November 6th. And Mr. Richmond, you have a report for that?
I do, thank you, Mayor. So there were, 3 items at the Board of Zoning Appeals hearing. The first was, approval of conclusions of fact for 60 Easton Lane, and just, real briefly, conclusion of fact is the board's formal specific written reasons for why granting a variance. And the board evaluation comes up with those reasons, and our assistant law director, Mr. Hunt, puts those into more legalese, and once in a while on a more involved matter, he defers to the following meeting, so he has time to prepare those. And so the board, the commission approved those minutes. There was also a variance granted for a generator at 38519 Berkeley Lane, a variance of 20 feet. Berkeley, as you know, very small lot, frontage is about 85 feet, so the normal 35 foot side lot variance is tough, and in this particular situation, there was septic lines and other electric lines where he would otherwise have been able to put it, so the variance was granted. There was also a area variance of 1 lot, allowing it to be 4,400 and some odd square feet, smaller than the 2 acre, 87,000 square foot required. Presently, it is 87,000 square foot, but it was a creative way to resolve an encroachment by the neighbor of that 4,400 square feet, who built a pool and a pool house on that extra land. So the folks needed a variance in order to allow that lot to be 4,000 square feet under, or about 5% under our 2 acre minimum. And then at the planning commission, that was one of 3 matters in order to allow them the lot split to split that 4,000 foot section from the applicant's parcel to the neighbor's parcel who was encroaching. So there was some dollars that were involved in this, solved the lawsuit and solved the encroachment, and the commission approved. At the planning commission, that lot split. Commission also approved a lot split at 35 South Lane LLC that was already 2 parcels as determined by legal description, but the county will only give you a parcel number or 2 parcel numbers if you have 2 parcels, if there is a lot split or an original subdivision plat, which there wasn't. So this lot split that the planning commission granted took care of that. And finally, there was a new dwelling application at 3940 Ellendale Road that was approved by the planning commission. And that is my report, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Richmond. Next, we had a facilities meeting on October 31st, and Mr. Richmond, you have a report this evening?
Yeah, not a lot of stuff. The one thing that, just so you know, it'll be coming next year probably, there are 3 potential projects on the grounds. The deck behind the community building is shot. The retaining wall behind the police department needs work, and Todd is trying to figure out if there's some way to improve the airport because they've outgrown their police department. So to keep the cars undercover. There's one of the changes coming up is for the town hall pump station with an $11,000 expense that wasn't planned for after the storm. And Jeff already talked about the EQ project. The only other thing of note that was fun to talk about was Mayor brought up squirrels are eating our tables. Porch Ridge. Apparently we have an issue there, so looking into a camera and what else we can do to try and stop the squirrels from eating the tables.
Take a look next time you're up there.
Well, chew. That's it, thank you.
All right, any questions from Mr. Fish? Okay, thank you, Tom. So let's see, the next is roads and safety, also met on October 31st. Mr. Emmerman, do you have a?
Thank you. There was a good amount of discussion about the new position that Chief is going to be or has requested. We talked about that at Committee of the Whole. The other thing that was brought up by Chief was for the 2024 budget, he's going to propose using a company called Lexipol. And they're a service that helps monitor and develop police policies and stay up to date on police policies. I can't remember the exact number, but a large portion of Ohio police departments use this service. They have template policies. They help us review our policies and stay on top of our policies and signal when there are law changes that might require us to change our policies, but they don't dictate our policies. We had asked the chief to check two things. One is if Lexipol also does lobbying and how we would feel about that, depending on what type of things they lobby for. And then also check it with Mr. Hanna with you. That should be is part of the 2024 budget. I think it's $18,000 a year. I think it was the cost was. It might have been depending on what level you choose. So it could be up to 18,000, but I think at its varying level. So I don't know exactly the cost structure. But that was the number that was the higher number this time. And we talked about leaf pickup. We did talk about leaf pickup at that, right? Yeah. Okay, so then I won't bring that up again. And that's it.
No questions, sir? For Mr. Emmerman? Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it. Let's see, Parks Commission met on October 16th, and Mr. Yankee, you have a report?
Yeah, I'll be brief. The minutes haven't been received, but I'll distribute those once they come up. It was basically just kind of unpacked, head for the hills. We had some gross income numbers, but we're waiting for all financials to see where we were net wise. I want to say we're around $12,000 gross. So we're expecting to have good success. Mark your calendars. I believe October 5th will be the next 10th meeting of 2024. And we also discussed, which might be beneficial to other commissions, is or even the village for events, is trying to mark things on the calendar by say February. That way there's plenty of time to get them on the calendar, plenty of time to get notices out. So nothing's really rushed. And that's all I have there.
Okay, anybody else have questions? Yeah. Thank you, Council President, appreciate it. So that does it for reports of committees, approvals, bonds, contracts, plats, etc. We have none this evening. So I'll move on to ordinances, and I'm gonna take the liberty to change the order here and start with 57, and then I'll go back to the top and we'll just run through them. The reason I do that is because it's a little unusual that I'm gonna present some legislation, but I'll explain as to why. And I also have Prashant here who's gonna help me with this. So first of all, let me read what 57, 2023-57 is. It's an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Medical Mutual for the provision of healthcare insurance to village employees and declaring an emergency. So let me provide some background here. Prashant and Marcia, and with my help too, but they probably do more work than me, have been working on the health insurance renewal. And we looked like we were facing, and we are facing, a significant increase in the cost of the premiums with Medical Mutual. So we worked with our broker to take it to the market to try to get another offer, another quote. And we did get another quote. This quote is up as well, but not up as much as Medical Mutual. However, it necessitates some change to our employees. So it would require that the health reimbursement accounts are managed differently, that now the employee would need to make those payments and then provide documentation to get reimbursed versus the way it works today, that it's integrated and the bills, they don't have to do that. So it's extra work that we'd be putting onto the employees. And Prashant and I have been discussing this, and our view, and Prashant, speak up if I misspeak, but our view is we this late in the game, I wish we had this sooner, but we don't really want to put this imposition on the employees right now. I think what we want to do is message the employees that we're staying. It's a significant increase, and Prashant can talk about those numbers, but that over this next year, we're going to be evaluating it. And if these trends continue, we may need to make changes to our health plan by going to another, either another carrier or structurally changing something. The other reason we chose, we don't think it makes sense to change right now is if we do, we won't be able to go back to that. We've been with medical mutual a long time. We won't be able to go back to them for a minimum of 2 years because the way the new plan under Cigna is structured, it's a different structure, and it requires that you go into the second year so you can get any rebates back from the first year. So it's one of those things we just didn't feel comfortable going with that, but I just wanted to make council well aware that in the back of this ordinance, it'll show that the monthly premium, let's see, was $50,000, $50,016.19. It's increasing to $58,588.02. It is a significant increase. Yeah, it's a big increase. But that now, so I guess what I wanted to do is have a discussion with you guys. If you're comfortable and you ask me and Prashant questions, we also have someone from the broker on the line who is available to answer questions if Prashant can't answer them. We can pass this tonight. If you're not comfortable with it, we can put it on first reading, but we'll have to make a decision pretty soon. We may need to have a special meeting to pass something soon because this thing starts at the beginning of the year. So Prashant, what did I miss?
Nothing, Mayor. You covered it really well. If I may just add a couple more points. So Mayor is correct. We are, prior to this partially self-funded plan or HRA situation that we have with Medical Mutual, we used to be fully insured, as you all know. And there was a time when, the fully insured plan started costing us a lot more. So the village decided to adopt this hybrid plan of, having a small portion that the village would cover, basically self-insure the first 2,500 and 5,000. This is, I'm talking individual, single employee, and there are different tiers for family, employee plus spouse and so on. So we decided to do that, and we, in the first year alone, which was give me 1 second, I pull it up here. In the first year alone, when we did that, we saved approximately $60,000 to $70,000 in our annual costs. The current, when we initially received the renewal from Medical Mutual, they were about 17.9%. That's where they are even today. So we went to the market. We had employees fill out something called a form fire, where they actually did a full detailed form, or filled out a full form talking about their family situations and what kind of current health conditions they may have. That was taken by our broker to the market, and we received 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other quotes. Aetna was one that declined to cover us because they thought that we had high medical risk for the small group that we have. Anthem came in at 82% increase from our current premiums. SumaCare came in at 77% increase from our current premiums. United Healthcare was 41%. So looking at that, Medical Mutual at 17.9 didn't seem so bad. There is another carrier called Cigna that did quote us at a 4% increase over the current premiums. As the mayor said, if we go with Cigna, we cannot come back to Medical Mutual for a couple of reasons. One is, Cigna says that if our claims are lower next year, they may do some sort of premium sharing with us in the following year. So we have to stay with them in order to get some of those premiums back. We don't know what our claims are going to be. So obviously a little bit of a risk there. And the second reason is that Medical Mutual and Cigna have an agreement where if you do go with Cigna, you cannot go back to Medical Mutual for 2 years. So those are the reasons that we feel. And now taking the Medical Mutual plan, or I'm sorry, let me step back a little bit. With the Cigna plan, it would be the same plan that we have with Medical Mutual, same HRA arrangement. Um, However, we would have to use a third party to process the reimbursements to the employees. Currently, Medical Mutual has their own back-end office that processes all the reimbursements to the employee. So the employee goes to the doctor, they pay their $250 deductible. Again, I'm talking a single coverage employee. After that, up to the $2,250 that the village is going to cover, it's invisible to the employee. The processing of the 2,250 continues through Medical Mutual and the village. We would cover the 2,250. Medical Mutual will invoice us on a monthly basis and we'll send the money in. After the 2,500 is met, then the employee takes over. With Cigna, there's a third party that would be reimbursing the employees. So the employee would be responsible from day one to, as soon as they go to the doctor, they would receive an EOB. They would send that EOB to this third party administrator. They would review the EOB and then send the repayment back to the employee. There's a time lag. There's quite a few steps before that. And employees are not used to this, obviously. So they may get frustrated and they would instead of calling the TPA, the first reaction is let's call finance, and Marcia would be pulling her hair out. The second issue would be the prescription side of Cigna. Express Scripts and Medical Mutual both use Express Scripts. I'm sorry, Medical Mutual and Cigna both use Express Scripts as the PBM. However, the formulary drugs that are covered under Medical Mutual and Cigna are slightly different. So there may be employees that may see a disruption. So they may be under a certain drug that is covered under Medical Mutual prescription plan, which may not be covered under Cigna. And so, so we can't run a disruption analysis, unfortunately, because we are only 30 employees. We don't have any access to any of our employee claim information. So that's the disadvantage we have being a small group. I'm throwing a lot out, stop me if you have any questions. Last year, when Medical Mutual came in, initially, they quoted us a 24% increase. And we went back to them, and I think they narrowed it down, brought it down to about 21%. So last year also, we had the similar situation. Based on all the things that we talked about, we feel it'll be very disruptive to the employees and the village as well. To go from one carrier to another. It'll be a drastic change in the way we do business. Yes, there are savings. And I think the one way we should approach this so that it's not disruptive to the employees is to have an education. Talk to the employees starting early next year, not wait until November, until the renewal comes in, but at least get some information out to the employees that look, the village has taken on some additional burdens so that we can keep your healthcare the same as we had before without causing disruption to you and your families. But at some point, we have to revisit this. So we start some education with the help of our broker, USI. And then the other factor that we probably should look at some point is the employee contributions. Right now, our plan is very rich, and the employee contributions towards the plan is minimal. It's way below the statewide average. So that's that's for next year. But this year, we feel that we are probably going to recommend continuing with Medical Mutual for one more year and then look at it next year.
Any questions for me or for that? Our employees they don't pay very much toward it. I mean, I know, like, I pay about $500-600 a month.
They pay very, very
It's
small.
very little.
I think a single is $5 or something.
Like 15 for a family.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to me, is that realistic? Is that normal for city employees?
It is on the much better end of that spectrum as.
I know most of the conversations we have are basically, let's keep our employees happy, let's pay them well, let's not lose them. So I get all that, but at some point, that's over $100,000 in added cost this year, right?
It's about
math,
$100,000.
yeah, I got 102 my math, I think so. Just wondering at what point, but you already started to talk about it, that was gonna be my question, at what point do we ask the employees to pay more? I don't know anywhere else you get away with $5 or $15, that's pretty darn good. It sounds like your insurance is pretty good too.
It is good.
I had two questions. First question is, do you have a sense on whether Cigna is kind of throwing out a teaser rate, if you will, and whether we could expect the following year a higher rate? That would be question number one. And question number two, since we did tell Medical Mutual last year they have to do a little better, if we pass this on 3 readings tonight, but gave an indication that if they can get down to 12%, we'll we prefer to stay, but we can't do something. Would that help negotiation?
Answer to your first question, it very well could be. This is something that insurance companies do, whether it's property casualty or health insurance companies. If they want the business, they will come in with a lower than average rate that they would be charging some of the other clients. And next year, again, based on our claims, they could potentially raise us. The problem again is we don't know what our claims are. We have no idea what our loss ratio is. We don't have any insight into which employees are going to the doctors, what are the claims. So it is hard for us to tell, even if next year they come in and say, oh, sorry, we're going to raise your rates by 20%. We can't say what, we can't ask them why. We just have to go with whatever they're offering us. So it is possible that they're, it's what do you call it? Baiting us, but that's a significant difference. And I think the difference that we are calculating is approximately 75,000, not 100,000. So based on the current employees, the number of employees that are in each of those tiers and the rates that have been proposed by Medical Mutual and Cigna, the difference is 76,000 approximately.
Yeah, so the way that it's calculated here, Tom, there were fewer employees in the older rates, so part of that increase that you were calculating is the fact that we have another employee taking insurance.
One other thing that I would say to support your thing is we have Cigna where I work right now, and they're going through a big contract negotiation and make throughout the Cleveland Clinic. There's somebody that they work with. And since Cleveland Clinic supports probably 90% of the doctors that we all go to, I don't know Medical Mutual, what hospitals they're affiliated with, but I know Cigna right now is battling with the clinic. So our company's considering moving on because of that, because most of our employees use Cleveland Clinic doctors.
So I'm sorry, this is Melanie Gonzalez from USI. I do want to speak to the comment about the Cigna Cleveland Clinic relationship. Cigna and Cleveland Clinic have had over a decade, several decades actually, of contracting with the clinic and Cigna together in a partnership. Their contract actually expires on April 1st of 2024. They have every confidence that they will renegotiate that contract because it's been a long-standing relationship that they do not wish to depart. It is a requirement that the Cleveland Clinic reach out to their patients and notify them that there could be a potential change, even if that never comes to fruition. So that's a standard state board requirement for clinicians and medical facilities. So I just want to touch on that because I know that that's many employees this week received a letter from the Cleveland Clinic, and it's a bit of a fire drill. However, Cigna and the Cleveland Clinic have advised that they do anticipate renewing that contract into 2024 and further. Thank you.
Hey, yeah, and for John, what's your thought in consideration that council, I'll speak for myself, not for all council, but that we're, that not happy with the increase, but would like to stay but would like to try and do our best to be to watch the dollars for our community. Is there any negotiation left, hopefully?
Well, I think we
Even
tried.
if it's, say 2 to
Yeah,
5%.
we
Oh, yeah.
already went back
Yeah.
after receiving these other quotes, and we did talk to Melanie, in fact, spoke with Medical Mutual through her rep, and they did come back and said that, they looked at the group again. Although they would like to help, they're not going to renegotiate this year. They said that, and these are their words, wanted to let you know that underwriting reviewed the request for rate relief and it was declined. There is risk within the group that has them running significantly over target with signs of getting worse. And so they said, we appreciate the opportunity to consider the market response, but we cannot come back with better news this year. So, yeah, I mean, I think we've already tried that.
One data point, we use Medical Mutual in my day job, and we just we're told that things aren't going to go up, but it's only because we have some kind of 3-year, I don't know what you call it, but we have an agreement basically for 3 years, but next year we could be looking at a significant increase because rates are fixed. We're in the fixed time frame right now. But I vaguely remember when they were reporting out on this that it was something like a 14% or something it would have been for us. So it's sort of in the ballpark of what, and we obviously have many more employees and probably different terms and whatever. I'm not sure what the details are, but just from the standpoint of like of understanding this, whether this is a realistic rate increase kind of thing, it sounds like it's similar to what they're giving to other customers.
Yeah. So we got 5 quotes, right? 3 of them were coming in at like 80% increase, 76% increase. Correct. It makes me think that this Medical Mutual increase is not outrageous if looking at others. And I don't know why Cigna has only a 4% increase, but it does seem like it's also comes with a reduction in services based on the billing practices that they were talking about, which I think is very significant. I think that is a big burden on people. So it's not exactly like to like in the comparison. So if we're looking at the difference between those two. So I mean I look at it from the other 3 and how high they were and the response from Medical Mutual about, there's some reason why that I guess, legally that can't tell us. So I think it makes sense. And I also think with the potential of changing drugs and disruption of medical services to the resident to the employees, I think that I would recommend staying with Medical Mutual in that regard. And then lastly, the concept of like not being able to switch back to Medical Mutual with Cigna, if you switch to Cigna, I think is I'm surprised that's legal. That they can have a sub agreement that allows them to say, "Oh, we won't accept you back if you go with this Cigna." I mean, that seems a little ridiculous, but just make that statement.
So let me clarify the switch. Medical Mutual uses Cigna's network as their out-of-network provider. So meaning if you travel to Florida and you have an incident and you need to see a physician in Florida, you're going to tap into Cigna's network in the state of Florida or any other state where Medical Mutual does not have any kind of in-network providers. So through that contracting with Medical Mutual and Cigna, that contract between the two carriers is what prevents us from returning back after 1 year. So we would need to stay out for that 2-year window, to Prashant's point. One, because there could be an opportunity for us to get a premium credit back after our first year, but two, because of the contract that's between Medical Mutual and Cigna.
No, I appreciate the fact that they have a contract between them, so thank you for that. I just don't like it. I still think it's an odd arrangement. I think it's an odd arrangement.
And it was similar with if you've been on Medical Mutual for some time, you might recall that they used to have Aetna as their out-of-network provider, and it was a similar situation between Aetna and Medical Mutual during that time as well.
Okay. Oh, sorry, I forgot. The last thing I wanted to mention too is we made a change. I think it was last year, a year back, with the health insurance that made it a little different for how, I can't remember exactly how that worked. I mean, I remember when we talked about it, we made a change that, what was it? I mean,
It's been a few years now, actually, Prashant.
and the only reason I bring that up is we just made a change in how the billing and stuff works 2 years ago to the employees, and to make another change so soon, I also think that the billing would be,
I think we're self-insuring the deductible. I think that's what
it was something like that. I can't remember. Maybe the employees didn't see it, but so those are my reasons why I think we should stick with it.
Do I hear anybody who's in a different in a different position?
No, unless maybe just the last question, can I assume Cigna won't negotiate the methods of how
The reimbursement.
yeah, of the reimbursement?
They just don't have the integrated process.
They
That's
don't
the
have a
problem.
process to
Yeah,
do it,
so you have
okay.
to go outside.
Okay.
Well, if that's the case, I'm gonna try this. I haven't done this before, it's been there, but I'm gonna make a motion to suspend the rules. Am I allowed to do that, Mr. Counselor?
Yes, your motion is to suspend the rules on the ordinance. You authorize the contract.
Correct, on 2023-57.
Second.
Okay, I guess this is a motion by the mayor, seconded by, I'm not sure.
I think I heard Tom first.
Okay.
Those are true time.
Mr. Memberman?
Yes.
Mr. Fish?
Yes.
Mr. Yankee?
Yes.
Mr. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Bidwell?
Yes.
Okay, and then I would like to move for passage of 2023-57.
Second.
Not as motion by mayor, seconded by Mr. Elmerman.
Mr. Emmerman?
Yes.
Mr. Fish?
Yes.
Mr. Yankee? Mr. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Vincent?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, everybody. I know that took a while. It was one of the reasons I made the comment in the beginning, because I knew this would, but I think you guys made the right decision. That's what Prashant and I came to the same conclusion. So I think it's the right thing for the employees this year, so thank you. Okay, I'm gonna move on now to ordinance 2023-51. An ordinance accepting the donation to the village of a parcel of land known as permanent parcel number 913-06006 and declaring an emergency, and this goes to Council President Young.
Thank you, Mayor. I know we've talked about the village acquiring a few parcels, and this is one of those parcels. It's located on Mountain View Road. It was purchased, but after further research to develop it, it's just not practical for a building. The village's intent is certainly to acquire it, and that is it. No desire to put in a park or anything else. It just goes into our land bank. With that, I'll make a motion to suspend the rules.
Second. Okay, we have a motion to suspend the rules by Council President Yankee, seconded by Mr. Vincent, Councilperson Vincent.
Yes. Mr. Emmerman,
Yes.
Mr. Fish.
Yes.
Mr. Yankee,
Yes.
Mr. Richmond,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes.
And I'll move for passage.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second by the same parties.
Yes. Mr. Emmerman,
Yes.
Mr. Fish,
Yes.
Mr. Yankee,
Yes.
Mr. Richmond,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna move on to 2023-52. This is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Yellow Light Inc. for a solar project at 4350 Psalm Center Road and declaring an emergency. And this one goes to Councilperson Richmond.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm pleased to be able to introduce ordinance 2023-52. But I did prepare a little bit of background before the motion regarding brevity was passed tonight. So hopefully you'll indulge me just for a couple of minutes. So I think for some background, I think the ordinance is a great example of some of our best collective work and how we go from inspiration by one member of council and or one member of the administration to a lot of research and review by all to eventual improvements to the original idea to more work and consideration to eventual final bill and or ordinance and passage. And the origin, just again for those who weren't here, around November, actually 2021, I shared with council a conversation that I had with my son about career choices or whatever, and his comment to me was, it didn't matter that we were all, I use the word doomed rather than the word that he used. And I asked what he meant, and he relayed some recent research and statistics and quotes regarding carbon emissions and climate change. Like the following, that the world's largest economies will suffer severe human and economic consequences of climate change, especially if no action is taken to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And me always being the optimist, I wanted to do some research to combat that. And fortunately, I found some research along the lines of yes, but rapid action to tackle emissions can and will limit the severe impacts of climate change. So then I started to, that inspired me. I started to look. I found out that about 28% of carbon emissions were due to transportation, and about 30% were due to governmental, commercial, and residential facilities. And that led me to point to come to council and say, you know what, I think we can and should do something to reduce our carbon footprint at the village level, with our vehicles, with our buildings, with our policies. Then this led to introduction to Power a Clean Future Ohio, which then brought us to Wise Energy Partners, who then presented us with options for a power purchase agreement. And then, of course, we collectively as a council looked and evaluated these options and did some field trips and researched and reviewed. And then the power purchase agreement became expensive, which then helped lead Mayor Spencer and administration to look into purchasing the solar units, especially in light of the fact that we had learned that there's a new tax credit that can save about 1/3 of the cost. And this, of course, led to more working review and research and work by the mayor and the finance director and service director and engineer and our council and review and consideration, and which led us to here today. And you have the numbers in front of you. I'm going to briefly highlight some along the lines of this will The solar energy, the solar power will take care of 49% of our service facility. Electrical expenses, there is approximately based on the model, 8.25 year payback, 11.9% return on investment. Total cost of $139,000 and change, which is made up by about $97,000 of the equipment after the credit is tax credit is figured in, about 13,000 and change for site evaluation, about 27,000 in change for a meter and inverters. And I think it's also makes sense to remember also that that's the cost and benefit we've heard for this type of project. Benefit would be a reduction in carbon emissions equivalent of going from about 5,600 gallons of gas to 800 gallons of gas, or from 55,000 pounds of coal burned a year to 7,900 pounds per year, which are definitely significant savings. And finally, I just wanted to add, my hope and probably just my hope that this is, and I don't think, and I think it is, kind of the first step in our commitment to reducing carbon footprints, and that we'll look and evaluate closer than in the past hybrid and electric vehicles and some of our policies, because the bottom line is this will obviously benefit our village and our planet, and there is nothing more in the better interest of our residents than saving the planet, for God's sakes. I did say final. One final thing. The actual purchase contract is non-attached because Mr. Hanna will be working that out with the provider of the panels, but he did look at it initially. I took a quick look initially, and while there's still a little bit of legalese for Mr. Hanna to work out with the folks, it's a very small, basic 4-page short form contract that does confirm the price, talks about a 10-year warranty, talks about a target commencement of work of March 2024, weather permitting, and a target 90 days of completion from initiation. So I appreciate everyone's indulgence in that background, and with all of that said, I'm happy to make a motion to suspend the rules. Second.
So we have a motion to suspend the rules by Mr. Richmond, second by Mr. Emmerman. Terry?
Mr. Emmerman,
Yes.
Mr. Fish,
Yes.
Mr. Yaki,
Yes.
Mr. Richmond,
Yes,
Mr. Vincent.
Yes.
and I am proud and happy to make motion for passage.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion for passage by Mr. Richmond, second by Mr. Vincent. Sherry?
Well, I guess just a comment, if you will.
Yes.
I know we had the brevity thing, but I gotta say, Steve, thank you so much for pushing this through. I know that this idea started a number of years ago, and with first we're talking about those offsets, purchasing carbon offsets, which of course would have cost money, and then we had some questions on, well, how much reduction would they be, and where would those offsets be located, and would they be out west, or would they be here in Northeast Ohio? And I think this is a much better option, because now we are both reducing our carbon footprint and directly, right? And we know that we're reducing it, and we know where those carbon savings are going, and then also it's a cost savings. And I think that there's not a lot of investments that our villages can make, financial investments, but this is also a financial investment with I would say, a really fantastic rate of return over time, gives us stability in our energy costs as well. So I think this is a very big win. I think it's something that we are and will be proud of to have on our village campus. So I thank you for that, and Mayor, I thank you for everything you've done on this solar project as well, and the others who've participated in that. I think this is a really great achievement, and I congratulate you for getting it done.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Any other comments on this? I did not mean to cut the comments off there. I was just asking for brevity, not no comment.
Having come into this late in the game, obviously, but having, you know, sort of been, you guys all being open to like looking at other things, I think that was really worthwhile. And I'm appreciative that you weren't sort of locked into, no, we're just gonna do it this way, just kind of move on. You took the time to kind of say, oh, maybe there is something else, and I think everybody's to ask those questions. And I think that's really, we've done that a few times since I've been on this council, and it's shown great results. I hope we continue to do that, you know, so.
Yeah, it's a great collective effort,
Yeah.
From where we started to where we got and everywhere in between.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Fish?
Yes.
Mr. Jackie?
Yes.
Mr. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Vincent?
Yes.
All right, thank you, everybody. I'm excited to, I won't go on longer. I'm excited by it. I can't wait to get going on it. I think that is too. We've been talking about it a lot, and thanks for the support. Okay, let me go back to my agenda here to see where we are here. Okay, we have, the next ordinance we have is 2023-53. An ordinance amending chapter 184 of Title 7 of the Administrative Code of the Codified Ordinances of the Village of Moreland Hills regarding municipal income tax to adopt updates to conform to House Bill 33 and declaring an emergency. And let's see, that one goes to Mr. Vincent.
Okay, so yeah, so this one, as you said, is related to something that came out of State Budget Bill, House Bill 33. First, want to say thank you to Mr. Hannah for helping me understand this a little bit better and kind of summarizing the multi-page changes from the ordinance, as you should see in the ordinance. But and he provided a summary memo to me, which I'm happy to send out to the rest of council because I think it's very helpful. It's a one-page memo summarizing the changes, but the gist of it is that the changes are designed to make some of the tax provisions more "quote unquote" user friendly. I'll let everybody judge for themselves whether they actually are or not. As anything with taxes, I think probably are not, just by their very nature, very user friendly. But having said that, they were things like municipal income tax for minors, which will be removed. Meaning those under 18, late filing penalties are reduced, and there was a bunch of things on penalties where they're changing it so that filers who would normally be have to pay $25 a month up to $150. Now there won't be a penalty for that first time and things like that. There's also a provision about if somebody has an actual extension. That and then the tax agency tries to come after them, that they could get reimbursed for the amount that they would have been charged for the late penalty, something to that effect. So, and there were some things about clarifying the kind of the new age world with remote workers and what employers can or can't do for assigning a remote worker taxes. So I'll send you this memo because it will do a lot better job than I will explaining all these different provisions. If that's okay, I can send that.
Sure.
Absolutely. And with that, if you have questions, I can try to answer, but otherwise I would defer to Mr. Hannah. But with that, I'll defer to
Mr. Shaw.
or Mr. Shaw. That's right. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. With that, I'll make a motion to suspend the rules.
Second. Okay, we have a motion. Rules by Mr. Vincent, by Mr. Fish. Terry?
Mr. Emmerman?
Yes.
Mr. Fish?
Yes.
Mr. Yankee?
Yes.
Mr. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Vincent?
Yes. And now make a motion for passage.
Second.
Motion for passage by Mr. Vincent, seconded by our council president, Sheriff.
Mr. Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mr. Fish,
Yes.
Mr. Yaki,
Yes.
Mr. Richmond,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes.
Okay, any other questions, or I guess it's passed, so I guess we're okay. Okay, the next ordinance we have is 2023-55, an ordinance authorizing change order number 2 with Chagrin Valley Paving, Inc. for the Chagrin Boulevard
Right.
resurfacing. Oh, wait, sorry,
Sorry.
did I jump one?
Yeah,
Okay,
jump one,
so,
yeah.
sorry, it's 2023-54. An ordinance authorizing change order number 1 with Crossroads Asphalt Recycling, Inc. for the 2023 asphalt program and declaring an emergency. And this will also be presented by Mr. Vincent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So yeah, similar to the other one we did last council, we have a nice change order where we're getting some money back. This one in this case, it's roughly $54,000 back. Looks to be like the last time this happened, similar reasoning, like we didn't have to use some of the allotted pavement repair that we thought we had to do. There's various quantities that weren't used, and including some of the inspection that we thought we might have to do and things like that. So basically, it's I think we budgeted for things that for the worst case, but some of those things didn't happen. And in one case, I will say that we did go over on an item, which was a type of repair to the pavement, but I think in lieu of doing the more expensive item, they chose to do the less expensive item, and that quantity exceeded, but the amount that it exceeded by in dollars was much less than the money we got back for the more expensive repair. If that makes sense. But anyway, so I think it was probably a good direction, probably by our engineer, if I had to guess. So with that, I would like to suspend rules.
Second. Okay, we have a motion to suspend rules of Mr. Vincent, seconded by Mr. Fish.
Mr. Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mr. Fish,
Yes.
Mr. Yaki,
Yes.
Mr. Richmond,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes. And a motion to pass, please.
Second.
And we have a motion to pass by the same, seconded by council president. Sure.
Mr. Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mr. Fish.
Yes.
Mr. Yaki,
Yes.
Mr. Richmond,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes.
Thank you. Now we have 2023-55. And this is an ordinance authorizing change order number 2 with Chagrin Valley Paving, Inc. for the Chagrin Boulevard resurfacing project to adjust contract closeout amounts and declaring an emergency. And this will be presented by Mr. Emmerman.
Thank you. So we had previously closed out this contract before, but there was a little bit more work that was done in terms of markings on the road, which increased the amount by just under $2,000. But this, I'm told, will be the final closeout. So this will be the final change order for that Chagrin Road project. So with that, I'll make a motion to suspend the rules. Sorry.
Okay, we have a motion to suspend the rules by Mr. Emmerman, seconded by Mr. Vincent.
Mr. Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mr. Fish.
Yes.
Mr. Yaki,
Yes.
Mr. Richmond,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes.
Move passage.
Good. Okay, we have a motion for passage, seconded by Mr. Richmond. Sheriff.
Mr. Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mr. Fish.
Yes.
Mr. Yaki,
Yes.
Mr. Richmond,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, council. The next one on the docket is ordinance 2023-56. An ordinance providing additional appropriations, transferring items already appropriated and declaring an emergency. This one will go to Mr. Fish.
Okay. Second time I got Rashawn's check now. All right, so just a quick explanation. I reached out to Rashawn. So the first amount, there was $170,000 budgeted for sewer cleaning, and actual cost came in around 200. So they're going to move 25,000 towards that project. I mentioned earlier there was a pump control. It costs 11,000, which is not budgeted for it. So he's moving 5,000 to help cover that. The other numbers are the police pension transfer, which is done normally, that's 50,000, and the general bond retirement. Again, this is another transfer that's done biannually. We've seen it before, so. With that, I would like to make a motion to suspend the rules.
Second. We have a motion to suspend the rules of Mr. Fish, seconded by Mr. Yonke.
Mr. Everman,
Yes.
Mr. Fish,
Yes.
Mr. Yankee,
Yes.
Mr. Richmond,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 2023-56.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second by the same parties.
Mr. Everman,
Yes.
Mr. Fish,
Yes.
Mr. Yankee,
Yes.
Mr. Richmond,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, everybody. That concludes our legislation for this evening. I would now like to go to miscellaneous business by any members of council. Does any member of council have miscellaneous business this evening?
Two quick things, Mayor. First, I wanted to, because I was trying to remember, I know it's a busy weekend, but what's going on with the Historical Society, and there's actually two things. Well, actually not one with the Historical Society, but related to Garfield. So on Friday, November 10th is the wreath, the lying of the replacement of the wreath at Garfield's tomb at Lakeview Cemetery, and this is done annually, and there's a ceremony. It's kind of nice if you haven't been. In the old days, we used to have a 15-mile walk to get there, and then the ceremony. And then on the 19th is the open house celebration of his birthday by the Historical Society from 12 to 2. 11 to 12 is the Lakeview Cemetery ceremony, and 12 to 2 is the November 19th at the cabin. And second, a quick thing, I just wanted to, I don't want to speak for Rick and Jeanette, but I presume to join me in our appreciation of the voters for voting us, and Mayor Spencer for voting us in, and that we are all committed to work hard for them the next 4 years. And congratulations to all of us.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Richmond. I appreciate it. I'll say it again about this. Yes, thank you for being on us, Steve. I appreciate that. Any other miscellaneous? Okay, any residents? I don't see that anyone else has joined. So I guess we can move on. Before we conclude the council meeting tonight, I'm going to make a motion to go into executive session. And this is requirement to discuss how shall I word this, Bill? An employment matter.
Public employee.
Employment matter of a public official or a public employee. And the compensation of a public employee. So I would like to just have here our counsel, myself, and our counsel, Mr. Hannah. Second.
Should we stop recording for this?
Yes. Yes, we'll do that. So we have a motion and a second by Council President Yonke. Would you please call the roll, Sherry?
Mr. Everman,
Yes.
Mr. Fish,
Yes.
Mr. Yankee,
Yes.
Mr. Richmond,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yep.
You don't need anyone else up here.
No, we don't.
Okay.